Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I am your host, Utkarsh Shukla, and let me introduce you to my guest, Kenny. Kenny, thank you so much for accepting our invite.
Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Kenny. So let's start with a very basic question. Can you please introduce our audience to yourself, like who you are, what work you do, anything you want us to know about you?
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. So I'm Kenny Archer. I'm the founder and head coach of Archer Inspirations, a coaching company. Archer Inspirations, we started back in 2017 in October, and based on just coaching clients, focusing on a difference. We put the name together. It's actually my wife who gave us the idea of the name. Because she said to me, "Can you just keep inspiring people? So why don't we just call it Arch Inspiration?" So hence we went that way. We've also got the little tag on it that's envision, inspire, and achieve, because that's what we do. We help envision people, we inspire them to make it happen, to achieve what they need to do. There's myself and my daughter in the company. She's a coach with me. We've had quite a few coaches come through the system and go on and do their own coaching, starting their own coaching businesses as well. And we both got our own little niches. My daughter's focuses mainly on Christian businesses. And then I like to focus on coaches as well as family businesses. And yeah, we've been going, it will be 7 years coming up. Lots of bumps in the road, like all businesses. And it's from those bumps that we start learning.
That's a really great point. I think that you have just mentioned. It's all about the bumps that we try to cover and how we cope up from them. So, as you mentioned, it's been like 2017, you guys have started. So, how was your journey before that? And at what point you thought that you need to start your own company or a community? I can say it is like where you were trying to build all those, or you're trying to bring all those coaches together. So, what was the main reason behind it?
So I spent almost 30 years in corporate world. During that time, I did everything. I started selling, I'm going to give away my age, LP records, vinyl records way back. Um, and yeah, I made my way through the corporate world, growing, and eventually I got to a operational director of the largest faucet company in the Southern Hemisphere. Um, and at the age of 46, I decided I'd had enough. And I sold out all my shares. And we joked about it. We said I retired at the age of 46. Anyway, 3 months after being at home, my wife said to me, "Best you go and find something to do, else I'm going to kill you." So I started reaching out to employment agents, etc., that I'd worked with over the years. And they all said, "Kenny, you're unemployable." And then the one said to me, "Can you go chat to my husband?" And I said, "Well, what does your husband do?" And she said to me, "He's a business coach." And I looked at her and I said, "What the hell is a business coach?" I'd never heard of one. You know, when you come from the corporate world, you're so isolated into the environment that you're in that you're actually blindsided to what's happening around the world. And suddenly I opened my eyes up and realized that there's a whole new world out there. There's a whole world of opportunity. I'd learned so much in that time. I had great mentors helping me and guiding me and helping develop me. And I met with her husband and we had a whole chat. And then I realized that this is nothing different to what I've always done. The only difference is I'll be talking to business owners and not team members. Um, I developed some amazing guys that went on to achieve some great achievements in the corporate world. And I thought, well, if I can get paid for what I always loved doing, what a bonus. And so, yeah, we started up, and I originally started with Action Coach. I went across to Vegas and did my training with Brad Sugars and that, and came back and battled along a little bit under the franchise. And then I said, no, something's not right. It doesn't work quite well for me. It's not me being who I want to be as a coach. And so I left them and I went back onto my own without them, and just bang, bloomed. It just started happening because I coach differently to other people. You know, when you're coaching a business owner, and they've got a personal challenge that they face in their life, you can't go ahead and coach the business because their headspace is in the wrong place. So you've got to be able to either guide them where to go for their headspace or share an experience that you may have gone through that can help them discover how they can get through that. And then their mind gets back into business and we can carry on with business. I've got a nickname from my clients that I'm more than just a business coach because that's what I do. I really get to know them. And it's probably why I love the family businesses, because there's just so much more going on than just the business. And that's ultimately probably my story of where I've got to. And yeah, and then helping other coaches, it's just amazing as well, because when you start off as a coach, it's probably one of the most loneliest things you can have. I mean, all businesses is lonely when you start off, but being a coach is even more challenging because you're expected to know all the answers. You're expected to have all the solutions, but you don't. You're learning as you're going along. You're growing your own business the same way as others are growing their business. So it's great to help them, guide them, get them to the right path and let them go again. And it's amazing. That's just a deep passion for that.
That's really great. I think that is very important point that you have just mentioned. Like, it is not possible for everyone to know everything, right?
No,
How do
I'm
you, yes, go ahead.
I'm still learning. I'm still learning. You never stop learning. The day you stop learning is, well, you might as well just go sit in the corner and die. Um, and as Jim Rohn, who used the reference to a tree. What happens to a tree when it stops growing? Well, it dies.
Nice.
So human beings, if we stop learning, we're gonna die.
Yeah.
That's reality. So keep learning, keep growing. It's the only way to keep going.
So I just want to ask you a question on the same scenario. Suppose a client asks you something that you are not aware of, right? So how you communicate the same with the clients? Like, what is the way of communicating this thing to them?
Simple. I don't know, but let's find out together. That's
Great.
as easy as it is. You got to be straightforward with them. If a client gives you something you don't know about, it doesn't help pretending that you know about it because you're just going to make your name idiot. So yeah, I'd rather admit it and say, well, let's figure it out together. Let's find out together.
It's really great. And when you started Archer Inspiration, how difficult it was for you to find your first client and then to go on the international platform? Like, I know you are now connected with a lot of people throughout the world. So how difficult it was for you?
Very difficult. In the beginning, it was all face to face, nothing on Zoom, nothing like that. And what, you always had that fear of, well, what if they're going to judge me that I don't know enough? That's the biggest challenge of those first clients. And then, in the beginning, you take on any client that says yes as well in the beginning, and you learn from that. You take on a lot of clients that you should never take on. But you just want to get clients on board. And in the beginning, it's so easy to overcommit to stuff. And, you have to be careful that you don't make promises you can never keep. So it's, in the beginning, it's really hard, those first couple of clients. But then as you start growing and as you start learning from your mistakes, it just comes so naturally. You know, you start reading when the client's ready. You start understanding that, okay, this is a walk in the park. Let's bring them on board. When I say walk in the park, you've already convinced them. They're coming on board. The biggest challenge, I think, for coaches is, does the market or the person you're talking to actually understand what you do and actually understand what the role of a business coach is in the business? Because the role of the business coach is not to be the expert in their field, but to be the person who challenges and holds them accountable for what they want to achieve in their business. And that's the key thing. And when you don't have a solution, can share tools or give you ideas and inspire you to find the solution and keep it going and help you picture that you want your business to be. Because the problem is, a lot of businesses, sorry, I'm going a little bit off track here, but the problem with a lot of businesses is they live in today. They only focus about what's needed to be done today. you know, yes, you've got to do what's got to be done today, but a portion of your today needs to be on the future and where you're going and what are your plans going forward and where you got to be and how you're going to grow. Because you can't just put fires out all day. And the problem is a lot of businesses are just putting fires out all day long. You can't. You've got to find solutions to those fires so that they don't start burning again. So yeah, going off track again. But that's me. I do it often.
That's great. I was going to ask you the same thing right now. Like, what was the biggest challenge that you think you have faced? And you just tell me the biggest challenge for the clients. If I ask you in your terms, like for you, what was the biggest challenge? Then what will be your answer?
I think the biggest challenge was accepting the fact that I actually owned a business.
Okay.
It's that um, blank, the name is the imposter syndrome. You always have that imposter syndrome. Like, am I really good enough to be doing this? Am I really able to be the coach for this client? It's that imposter thing. And you have to get through that. And the most important thing about knowing what your challenge is admitting to your challenge. Once you've admitted that challenge, you then can go ahead and go, well, how do I help? How do I get over it? How do I fix it? How do I come to terms with it? That whole imposter syndrome was a big one for me in the beginning. And I spent time working with a life coach to understand, hold on a second, it's me. I need to accept that I am good enough for this. And once I broke through that, well, bingo, you just start rolling because you are then good enough, and that challenge falls away very quickly.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point that you have mentioned. Like, we should know what our setbacks are or what points we need to improve on, and then take the ownership of the same. Like you just mentioned, you wanted to know, like, you are the owner of Archer Inspirations, and you need to take the lead on the same, right? And
Correct.
coming to the scalability, like how you have decided to scale Archer Inspiration, and what are the business domains that you are trying to cover?
So I've now recently we're expanding, we're pushing into the UK market, um, and then yeah, bringing more coaches on board. So I have my ultimate dream for the business is a universe. If you look at my logo, you'll see it's a hexagon shape, and if you took a whole bunch of hexagons, put them together, and you create a dome, um, those little hexagons that form up into the dome are individual coaches. I have this dream of just building a team full of coaches. So you go into Google, you search a coach, well, go into Arch Inspirations and search a coach. That's the way I want to do it, because you could have a team of 100 business coaches, 100 life coaches, 100 transformational coaches, even fitness coaches and health coaches, all together under one platform where you can move from one coach to the other coach without leaving the company, because you would have built the trust that's available throughout the organization. And that's my ultimate dream, to put that together. I mean, yes, will I one day see where we have hundreds of coaches? Maybe not, but that will become my daughter's problem or my grandson's problem or whoever's. You know what I mean? It's growing into a family business. But ultimately, I mean, I had one situation, it was last year or the year before, can't remember anyway, um, where we had a client who was with one of the business coaches and was going through a life challenge. We moved her straight across to the life coach. And when she was done with the life coach, went back to the business coach. So invoicing didn't change, payments didn't change. It just became an administrational change for me. Simple as that. The client stayed within the same organization that she already felt comfortable and safe with.
That's really great. I think you are trying to provide an all-round coaching system to someone who is in need, that can be through different processes, as you have just mentioned. Suppose someone wants to join Archer's Inspirations. What's the process for the same?
Well, the first is we'd meet, we'd chat. We'd look at where they want to go, what experience they have, where they are now in their business, and then we take it from there. It's as simple as that. Open conversation. get to know the person. Because one of the biggest things about any form of coaching is connection. If there is no connection, whether it's with another coach or whether it's a client or the client towards the coach, if there's not that connection, doesn't matter how much money they pay, doesn't matter how good they are. If the connection doesn't work, the coaching experience doesn't work. So people do business with people, and that's the big one to remember.
Yeah, I think that's the golden rule. You need to be
Yeah.
good in making connections and know how to communicate your thoughts. And coming to the reverse question of the same, how a client can reach out to our church inspirations.
Archinspirations.com. We go on there, connect with us. You can see the variety of different programs. You can see the variety of different options to connect. Book a session with us. We have a chat. We get to know each other. And likewise, I get to understand their business. Once we've understood their business, we can then say to them, okay, based on you, where you are in your business, based on the experience you have in your business, then we can suggest a program for them or the coaching journey for them. I don't go out and say, right, this is, I'm marketing these programs, which one you want. No, it doesn't work that way. It works with which one would suit the client best for their best needs. And I've had clients, my longest client's been with me for 6.5 years, and we've altered the program on numerous occasions based on the needs of the business and where they are and where they've got to go. Sometimes they need more attention, sometimes they need less. Sometimes they need more accountability, sometimes they need less. So it's the journey that you're going on. I don't see clients as having an end date with me. Okay. I look at clients as being the long run. It's a journey. I mean, when you run a business, it's a journey. And the business will alter and change. And even if you change businesses, it's still the individual's journey where they want to go. So there's no end date with me. If we decide it's not working anymore, no problem. We call it a day. But in overall, it's a journey that you're on together. I become part of their business no matter how it works. Or even whichever coach becomes part of their business. It's a journey you're going on together. You form part of the team. I'll give an example. Client family business. I had done some training with the sales team, and the one daughter in the business, she runs the sales team, and she said to me, we were having an exco meeting. She said to me, Kenny, would you come and do some more sales training? And I looked at her and I said, no. And she said, why not? I said, because you're good enough to be doing it, and I'll come in, I'll sit with you, but I want you to do it. She says, yeah, but you do it so well. I'd rather you do it. I said, no, but I might not be here one day. And the mother leant across the table and said to me, where do you think you're going? That's the relationship that you have. It's you just form part of it, and away you go, and you're there. And yeah, you get calls about the weirdest things sometimes and the strangest of things, and you just change it, work with it, and go with it.
It's really great. So Archer inspiration is for every business domain, I can say, or like a wider range.
I'm happy to work with anybody, as long as they're ready to do the work. If they're not ready to do the work, well, what's the point of working with them?
I think that's a great point. So if I ask you for your advice to the younger people who are going to watch this episode, what it will be like from your overall experience as an entrepreneur, having your own company. If I ask you for your advice, what that will be?
Well, I'd have to straightforward and say, well, let's find out a little bit more about you and your business and where you want to go with it. And then we can go forward. I'm always giving advice. I'm always sharing. I give away a lot. I actually run a whole program that doesn't cost anything, which is part of my podcast. It all depends on what advice you need and when you need it, and whether it's something that I can just give to you or whether we need to work on it. And then we discuss it, open it, and I can tell you how I could help you. And if I can't help you, I'll send you to somebody who can help you.
That's really great. I think in order to help someone, it's not always necessary that you are going to be the one helping that person. And
Yeah.
that's a very kind point, I think, that you have just mentioned. You will send that person to somebody who can help you. Because most of the time, I think people get confused and they try to help people by themselves in some of the points that they cannot cover. But it's really important to know where to stop and where to refer them to someone else. Right. Okay. That's
I
very
mean, I
impressive.
have, I work closely with a numerous number of coaches, and for example, often leadership skills can be challenging. People don't even understand what their own skills are. So I often send my clients off to go and do the Clifton Strengths as an example, with another coach, because then once I understand their strengths as well as them, it makes my coaching journey with them much easier. And I don't want to go and experiment and try and pinpoint where their strengths are if I'm not the expert at it. So yes, you can identify the strengths, and yes, I could probably guess 90% of the time that I can guess their strengths, 90% of the time be right. But I'd rather a proper professional dealt with that, come back and we can work with it together. The same as somebody who's going through a life journey. I'm not a life coach. I'll send them off to a life coach or psychologist or psychiatrist, wherever they need to go, get the right help and come back and we carry on. That's where it should be.
I think that's a great point to end this podcast. So thank you so much, Kenny, for sharing your insights. I hope it was a great session for you as well. And yep, keep inspiring.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kenny.